So I just finished breaking down data on over a million cold emails to find out what's working best right now. And I found out what the top 1% of businesses are doing with cold email that people who get no replies with cold email are missing. So in this video, I'm going to break down the findings of what I was able to come up with after analyzing all of the emails and the campaigns, and break down some high performing emails based off of the findings that I came up with. So keep watching if you want to learn exactly what you need to be doing if you want to create cold email campaigns that get attention, book calls, and ultimately grow your business. So as mentioned, I studied over a million cold emails, looked at the top performing campaigns, and really came up with some common denominators of what's actually working and what you can be implementing to mock what people are doing. A famous quote from Tony Robbins says, "Success leaves clues." I've basically taken all of the clues, condensed them, and we're going to go through them. So the first pillar, or the first denominator that I found, is every winning email had a really strong offer. Even when I was starting to use cold email, my mindset was, hey, I'm going to blast my email to everyone. I'm just going to send generic messages, and I'm going to have no clear outcome in the actual copy of what I'm sending to people. What successful emails look like is they are really, really clear on their target avatar, meaning they know intricately what that customer is, who that customer is, what they struggle with, what they deal with, and they're speaking in the emails to that ideal customer. So what I've noticed with the top performing emails is they are all really hyper focused on their offers. They know intricately who their target avatar is. They know who they're speaking to. And when they're writing copy in the emails, they're speaking directly to the prospect. They're not doing any generic messages. They're not just sending a spray and pray model. They're speaking to the pain points and the outcomes to that specific prospect so that it piques curiosity and also gets them to actually respond, because cold email, it's really kind of tricky to build trust. And the easiest way to build trust is to understand the customer and speak to them in cold emails. The offer is actually desirable. I see a lot of people offering things that maybe the prospect isn't thinking about, something that doesn't keep the prospect up at night, something that is generic. We want something that is actually desirable, because what we're trying to do with cold email is get people to raise their hands. So these are the common denominators that I found. What I like to do, really quick hack, is I just like to say, hey, I help B2B software companies get more leads using our outbound accelerator system. Give me a description of my companies doing more than 1 million a year. Get more leads. Give me a description of my ideal target customer, what they struggle with, their desired outcomes, speak their language, and make them polarizing. And this is just something that you guys can do, because if the successful people are really focusing on their offer, that's what we need to be doing as well. So you can just simply use something like ChatGPT and help it come up with your ideal client profile so that you can craft an offer that actually speaks to them. Then I can just say something like, give me 5 offer ideas that speak the language of my customer so I can use it in a cold email. So now this will help you come up with copy ideas, offer ideas that will allow you to actually speak to something that your prospects are interested in. Offer is by far number one thing that I've noticed from all of the cold emails is they're hyper focused on the offer, and they're testing out the offers to figure out what is actually going to stick. And they're not just saying the same thing over and over again. And it is really, really hyper focused on the customers. The second thing that I noticed is they have hyper enriched data, meaning they have a lot of information about the customer. You know, what I used to do, and what I see a lot of people still do, is they just buy cheap lists, or they build these lists trying to save money, and they're just playing this volume game, thinking that, okay, the more people that I get, the more opportunities I'm actually going to receive via email. The data they're just getting is just the generic first name, last name, and email, and potentially like location. And the lists just aren't that great. We are not confident in who we're actually targeting in the data that we're actually able to attribute to the customer. What I've noticed from the emails that have proven to be the most successful, they have a lot of data on who they're actually reaching out to, and they leverage that data inside of the emails. And that really comes down to building a hyper enriched data, which is building a hyper enriched list, which means that you can build lists based off of signals. You can build lists based off of multiple data points, not just the name and email. You can ensure that it's 100% accurate. One quick hack here that you guys can do is you can use instantly super search feature, and you can just create a list of who you want to target by using simple filters. And what that will generate is a list of potential clients, basically people in your ideal client market. And then by building it inside of super search, what it's going to do is it's not only going to validate all of the emails, it's going to go through a verification process process that goes through 3 different steps that make sure that we're getting all of the emails, but ultimately that the emails are in fact correct. But it's going to fully enrich that profile, meaning it's going to find them on LinkedIn. It's going to find their headline on LinkedIn. It's going to find their department, the industry, the sub-industry, the company description, the website, the company size, how many connections, all that sort of stuff that is relevant when getting intel on the customer so that we could be more effective when actually reaching out to them. Not only are we able to get this information, but if I click on Enrich in AI, what I'm also able to do is I'm able to pull information like job listings. If there's jobs being posted, I can pull things like technologies being used. I can pull things like company news, the funding type. I can actually even scrape their website and pull case studies if I wanted to, or their mission in their about section, and use that in order to get more information about my customer so that I can craft a actual email that speaks to that ideal customer. The emails that are having the most success are personal, but what that starts with is it needs to start with good data and good lists. They're enriching their data, they're enriching their lists, they're getting information, they're scraping information about their contacts so that they can write more effective emails. And this can easily be done inside of Instantly in just literally a couple of clicks. The next thing that the top 1% of people are doing with cold email is they're writing AI personalized lines. Before, like what I would do is just write generic first lines. Hey, John, hope all things are well at company name. You know what I mean? Blanket messages, basically sending the same message to everybody, hoping that I would prompt a response. That would just really lead to lack of replies because it seems like it's going to be a cold email. Because the problem with doing all this sort of stuff is there's no sort of trust, there's no sort of ability. I mean, the thing that I'm noticing with these cold emails that are so successful, it doesn't look like a cold email. Okay. It's not supposed to look like a cold email. That's not how you're going to get responses, because you and I both know that if we send cold emails and we just look like cold emails, the customer's going to know it's a cold email and you're just trying to sell them something. So that's what we don't want to do. Okay, guys? What we do want to do is we want to have targeted lines. We want the prospect to feel like we researched them and ultimately feel like it's not like a cold email and just somebody emailing them after doing a lot of research and finding a lot of information, and then hooking curiosity. So what we're able to do with the enriched data, which I just showed you, is we're able to leverage a lot of the information that we're getting, and we can even have AI write an email for us with personalized lines that we're able to pull from the enriched data that we're able to get. What you're also able to do inside of here is you could click on the use AI, and they have different models that you can attach here, whether that's GPT-4, whether that's Claude. And what you can do is you can write a prompt and you can say something like, hey, based off of the job listings that they had, pull blank, 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 and write a personalized line complimenting on their growth, empathizing that it's challenging to find people like that. Another idea is you could pull all the case studies and you could acknowledge a case study that they got. You could pull the company news and you could congratulate them on something that happened in the news. By doing this, what you're going to do is you're going to scale trust quickly because the prospect is going to feel like you already know them. You did some research on them. And what that's going to do is it's going to increase your replies. It's going to increase trust with the customer and ultimately grow your business. The next thing is fundamentals, guys. All of the emails that I saw, they were not anything fancy. They were not anything crazy. It was really just following the fundamentals. What I see a lot of people do, myself included, when I first started cold email is shiny object syndrome. You're trying to test this new thing. You're trying to do this thing. You're trying to get fancy with it. And what happens when you're basically just constantly chasing is there's no consistency. You're not really compounding anything. You're basically just going knee deep in a bunch of different strategies, and you're not going deep on the strategy that works, which is basically the fundamentals, which I'm teaching you today. What that's going to lead to is just like random actions and just like random results. Like we want to go deep, not wide. And we want to test one strategy and go deep on it, which is really the fundamentals. And what I mean when I say fundamentals is, one, we need to be obsessed about the fundamentals. Like this is probably the most important thing, is like the fundamentals are the fundamentals for a reason. The more that we can work the fundamentals, the more that we can master the fundamentals. And then once we're able to master the fundamentals, then you have that gut instinct, that intuition of what actually works, which allows you to then scale up from there. What I mean when I say fundamentals is ICP, offer, copy, who's our ideal client profile, fundamental. We need to get really clear on that. What is our offer and what is our copy? We don't need to chase 100 different prospects, 100 different angles. We don't need to try a bunch of different offers. We don't need to try a bunch of different copy frameworks. All we need to do is just follow the fundamentals of what actually works in your cold email. And the more you can go deeper on understanding these 3 pillars, the more that you'll be able to succeed. Next up is going to be smaller lists. So a lot of the emails that I found and a lot of the people that I found that were getting 20, 30% reply rates, no joke, 30% reply rates, they're not blasting to a list of 100,000 people, 10,000 people, 5,000 people. They're working off of micro lists. What they're doing is they're basically being able to pull smaller lists. And from that smaller list, they're able to basically be more specific with the copy. What I used to do, and I see a lot of people do, is they get so excited to start with cold email that they get this huge list and then they blast their message, not following any of the things that I've just talked to you about today. And they hope somebody bites. Like that's their mindset. Oh, I hope someone bites. Oh, if I just send 100,000 emails and I get blah, blah, blah reply rate, okay, that's going to work. It's not how it works. Okay. That's not how you actually build trust and get results. The other thing is like, yeah, spray and pray. Like what that's also going to do is just going to like wreck your domains, because if you're not focused on like deliverability and like the actual quality of the list and enriching the data, making sure the data is actually good, you're never going to land in the inbox. And then you're not going to have any feedback loop because you're just blasting to so many people that you're not going to get any data on what each smaller list does. So what I've noticed and what I've seen is the people that are getting super, super high reply rates, when we see 20, 30% reply rates, they have a laser targeted relevant emails to a small list. They're not pulling 200,000 people. They're being more specific. They're enriching the data based off of what I showed you to find signals to then come up with personalized lines and angles that actually speak to that ideal customer. And as a result, they land in the inboxes because they've done the work. They've enriched the data. It's personable. There's a lot less room for error because the list is smaller. As a result, again, 20, 30% reply rates as a result of this. This is a massive metric, something that is really cool to see because it's something that I also believe in, is less of spray and pray and more micro, smaller lists with really, really targeted emails to get those crazy responses. Next thing that I'm seeing is a follow-up protocol. Again, like what I see a lot of people do is they just blast one email thinking that's going to scale their business and give them time freedom and then they can retire. That is not the case whatsoever. What they're doing just by like having that mindset is really just like leaving money on the table and just giving them inconsistent results. Every like campaign, every email that I've looked at that has had a lot of success is they have a really strong follow-up protocol, and they don't dedicate all of their success of cold email to, oh, I sent one email, or, oh, I sent 2 emails to people and all of a sudden my business is scaling. No, they attribute it to not only the first email, but the follow-up email and the follow-up protocol that they've been able to develop. So what I noticed is there's a very structured follow-up. Again, like I see an opener, and then what I see is 3 follow-ups after the opener. And the follow-ups are just simply reverting back to the opener, and they're short, sweet, to the point. Okay. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to get more out of the prospects. I mean, by sending multiple follow-ups, you're basically increasing your sending volume by 3 and you're staying on the top of the inbox. Because I always say like cold email is about volume and timing. And if you can nail those 2 things with the right message in front of the right person, then you'll get responses. And lastly, like automating this and not just using cold email and using multi-channel. I've noticed a lot of people are pairing cold email with something like LinkedIn, where there's multiple follow-ups, not just in the email, but also on something like LinkedIn. And then what that does is it really compounds and keeps you top of mind and keeps you omnipresent, assuming you have the right message in front of the right person, which is what we've been talking about. Next thing that I've been seeing just with people crushing it on cold email is value-driven emails. What I used to do, pitch, hey, can we talk tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Or do you have 15 minutes tomorrow? Hey, here's how we can help you. Can you chat today? What this would lead to, basically, just like nobody trusted us. So we get no replies. Like think about the prospect's point of view. If I'm receiving an email from somebody I don't know and they're trying to get on a call with me, good chance that I'm going to say no. And then also just be like looked at. I mean, if somebody sends me that, I'm like, I don't trust you. Like, why would I even talk to you? So when it comes to the value-driven emails, what I've noticed is high value call to actions. So it's not, hey, let's jump on a call. It's, hey, can I send you something that could help you and add value to whoever the prospect is? Because what we're trying to do in the cold email is build trust with them. And once they raise their hand and they say, yes, I'll accept whatever you give to me, then it becomes a prospect. And that's when you launch something like the follow protocol, which I just shared with you. And what this also does is it builds authority. Again, people work with who they know, who they like, who they trust. Yeah, again, just positions you as the authority and that you guys have the solution to the pain that your ideal prospect is dealing with. The next kind of key point, common denominator that I've noticed from the emails is they have a long game mindset. When I first started cold email, I was like, I need leads now. I'm going to burn through all these lists. And what happens as a result of that is you skip everything that we talked about. You just rush into everything. You just spray and pray. You get no leads. It's a churn and burn mindset. And you just burn through your list, burn through all your emails, and you don't get results as a result of that because you think, oh, this is a magic pill and it's going to happen tomorrow. Harsh truth. I wish it happened that way. That's just not the reality. It's not the reality in any sort of mechanism given to new clients. What I've noticed for the people that I've talked to and the people that are using cold email, they're looking at this as a long long game and using just cold email and the campaigns and the emails that they're sending as a long game, as basically a data point at a macro level, essentially. That's what we also need to do. And what this does is this allows them to build a pipeline of people over time. And that pipeline begins to compound, and then that compounding basically keeps them top of mind and then allows them to be the person that they're going to reach out to or get reached out to when that prospect feels like they need the problem that you're presenting solved. And last but not least, before we get into some of these cold emails, is a lot of the people that I've talked to, a lot of the campaigns, a lot of the emails that I've been looking at, they're hyper focused on deliverability. So what I would do when I was first starting cold email is I would just basically buy emails. I would use like a domain, and I wouldn't basically do any technical setup, and I would just blast the emails to all of the people that I had on this list. Problem with this was I remember sending a bunch of emails, and then a couple of weeks later, people kept saying, hey, your emails are going to spam. Hey, your emails are going to spam. And I was like, why are my emails going to spam? Like, what's the issue? Well, I wasn't focused on deliverability, and I wasn't doing any sort of warm-up protocol, and I wasn't doing anything right, and I would end up in spam. What good is creating an email if you're just going to end up in spam? A lot of people that I talked to, a lot of the emails that I looked at, a lot of the campaigns that I looked at, they're obsessed with deliverability. They know that if they don't end up in the inbox of their ideal customer, it's a waste of an email. So how do we do that? We do multiple domains, and we have smart sending. So in a tool like Instantly, what we're able to do is we're able to literally create a done-for-you setup, so it avoids any of the tech setup, avoids any of the tech headache. We're able to add multiple domains literally in just one go. And then what we're able to do is we're able to buy multiple emails associated with that domain so that we can safely send. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to send 100 emails an hour from one email, because that's going to be seen as spam, and email service providers are getting a little bit more strict on that. And then all of your emails are going to go to spam, and you're going to get flagged, and you're not going to end up in any inbox as a result. What we want to do is we want to buy multiple emails per domain and slowly send per each email. So if I just click on the done for you setup with Instantly, what it will do is it'll automatically generate multiple different emails that I can use inside my email. And what this will do is it'll start to warm them up, meaning it'll slowly start sending emails every single day, around 30 emails a day, to build trust with potential email service providers that you'll be emailing. You can have confidence knowing that you're actually going to land in the inbox. The people who are crushing it, the 1%ers, they're focused on deliverability. This isn't just an afterthought for them. They're making sure that they're actually landing in the inbox. So now we just went through all the just common denominators that I've noticed after talking to people and reviewing all of these emails. Now let's get into some examples of emails that use these principles and how you can literally just rip these off for your specific offer. Example number one, let's just take this as a potential B2B SaaS offer. What do? Define our audience, okay, VP of marketing at Series B SaaS companies. What is our offer? We help them scale paid social creative testing with an outside partner. Subject line, quick idea to help scale paid creatives at company name. Hey, first name, saw company name, recently raised $25 million Series B and now hired multiple paid media managers and demand lead gens, which usually means scaling creative outputs become a bottleneck. So what is this? This is our personalized line. How are we able to get that personalized line? By enriching data. And what this allows us to do is we can say they obviously need to scale creatives, so this makes this an ideal client. Okay, what are we doing next? One quick idea. Most SaaS companies hit a wall scaling paid social because they can't produce test enough performing creatives. We help companies like similar company generate and test 15 to 20 new ad variations a month without adding internal team bandwidth. If you're open, happy to share what's working best right now for funded SaaS. Call to action, value driven, speaking to the pain points of their ideal customers. Would it make sense to send over a quick example deck of what's working best? If the ideal customer is interested in that, I'm going to be responding to that. Okay. Example number two, agency offer to e-commerce brands. Audience, e-com brands doing $1 to $5 million a year. Offer UGC plus paid creative that drives conversions. Subject, idea to help fuel blanks. Name, new SKU launches. Hey, first name, saw company name has just rolled out 5 new SKUs on Shopify and Amazon and is actively hiring for performance marketing roles, which usually means paid channels are about to get more competitive. How do we find that out? Did they recently add new products to their website? Do they have a new product launch? Okay, we can find that information from their website. We can enrich that using it instantly to find out key intel that ties into what we actually do for customers. And this is an indicator, this is a trigger that they need more creative. One thing we're seeing in the market, most e-com brands are leaving 20 to 30% revenue on the table because their UGC and paid creative isn't optimized for new customer acquisition. Pain points, speaking to the customer. We help brands like blank scale profitable paid acquisition through high converting UGC that feels authentic, not ads. Desired outcomes. Is it helpful if I send over a few winning frameworks we're seeing best this quarter? Worth a look. Value driven call to action. If that person received the email, do you think that I would think, hey, this is a massive cold email? If I was the e-com brand who is constantly adding new products, of course I want to take a look. All right, last but not least, example B2B lead gen services, audience, founder, CEO of professional service firm.
So like consulting, etc. Offer, build them an outbound lead generation system. Scaling sales at company name would be the subject line. Hey, John, first name. Saw you posted 3 open AE roles and head of sales position, which usually means outbound is a priority right now. How do we find that information? We could simply go to instantly filter by job listings. They have job listings for something in sales. One quick thought: many firms in blank industry hit a ceiling relying on referrals and inbound, which make revenue less predictable. We build done for you outbound systems that help firms generate a steady flow of qualified leads on autopilot. If helpful, happy to share a few examples of firms we've helped go from referral only to consistent pipeline. Worth exploring. These are some examples using the common denominators of what I've seen work and how you can literally implement this inside of your cold emails, start booking more calls, getting more replies, and ultimately growing your business. I promise you, after all of the emails, after the people that I've talked to, the campaigns I've reviewed, these are the common denominators that put people in the 1%. And if you can execute, if you can take action on this, you will see results. Now, you've seen all the data that proves this works. You know it works, you know it doesn't work, and you can apply that directly to your cold email campaigns. But now that you have your perfect email, how do you make sure that actually gets in the inbox of your ideal customer? And that's exactly what I cover in this video on the screen, where I show you how you can improve your cold email deliverability and walk you through each step so that you can get more conversations started, get you booking more appointments, and overall seeing great growth in your business and your results. If you're actually serious about getting results with your cold emails and you want to become a 1%er, I will see you over there.